record on this computer. We are recording on the 27th of May, and it is 33.7 degrees in the shade in my backyard right about now.
Yeah. We've got 27 in town, but the Humidex is 30. Humidex is going to go up to 42. I'm going to get upset with somebody today.
You don't have any AC in there yet, do you?
No. Okay. We have a couple of old bangers we put in, but putting them in is becoming problematic. They're too heavy for me to do alone, but with social distancing, I'm not sure. I'm going to ask Jeff we'll see what we can do. But
oh, that's right. I forgot about this whole thing. I forgot.
But of course, we've gone from
pandemic. I forgot about that.
And you feel terrible, don't you? You just feel you're going to, a couple of hours after this, he doesn't have air conditioning.
I have to change my glasses. I have to buff my head to kind of dull it up a little bit.
Yeah, I know what you can do with that.
Gotta do. Yeah, I'm sure you do. I got a couple. Terry DiMonte is to join us this morning. I sent him a link yesterday, and I think Terry's off this week. This is why I contacted him a couple of days ago, and he said, I hope you don't mind. I was sleeping. I said, I guess so. It was 10 o'clock in the morning. He's probably enjoying a nice big sleep in.
Yeah, I know what that. I know what that's like.
Oh, I'm sure you do.
Great pleasure after the years of working those hours.
So anyway, Terry's not in the green room yet, so I just wanted to show you a couple of quick little things that I've had fun with of late. And this guy, Nate Bargatze, I think is how you pronounce the name. I'd never heard of him before, never seen him. And I kind of poked through Netflix once in a while looking for a chuckle, and he's very funny. He's a Southern boy. He's from Tennessee, I believe. He's been on.
Well, that's what it says right there. I guess
there you go.
From Tennessee.
Okay, there you go. And I think he's been on with Conan a couple of times and a few others. I have just discovered him. He's Mr. Deadpan, and we were talking to Heidi Foss a few days ago, and she is an artist in that genre as well. He's very, very funny, and he works clean, as they say. Talks about his spouse, his daughter. And he tells stories about his dog that will have you falling down. It's really quite good. So if you're looking for something.
I don't know if Deadpan makes it even funnier for me all the time, but it seems to. That frenetic, like what's his name? Lewis, who is very funny.
Richard Lewis, yeah.
Richard Lewis,
yes,
who is very funny. And I know that one line you have at every family gathering, his mother gets up and says, "You're killing your father." I still fall down over that one. But he gets really so frenetic that I back off. Actually, Seinfeld, the one you told me about, I listened to 10 minutes. It was howlingly funny, and then I got completely turned off. Not upset or angry with him. I just got bored with the, what is it? These people get me for longer.
It's the most frenetic I've ever seen Seinfeld. He was, I don't know that it was pent up energy or he was in it to really kind of get back into it. But yes, he was quite frenetic.
Now, as I say, the first 10 minutes were tremendously funny.
Yeah, and I prefer him a bit more calm because the material is so good and he has the facial expressions to go with it. But this young guy, Nate, there's barely a movement from him. He just paces a little bit, and he tells a story about his daughter putting a party hat on the dog's head, and it sounds absurd the way I'm describing it, but it will have you in tears. It's just basic kind of homey stuff, and the discussions he has with his wife too. It's quite good. It's an hour of your time, but I suggest that you look in if you want something to chuckle at this week. Okay. And a quick little plug for our friends at Pilates et Plus. Daniel Beliveau, the young man with the beard, was on with us a few days ago. That's his mother, Grace, in the middle, and his brother, Sean, who is a magician when it comes to physiotherapy. He is my
wife swears by him.
Oh, absolute. And he's a professional athlete. And these are very, very skilled people. And they're very energetic and very charming and absolutely lovable. And if you're looking for some yoga instruction, and it's you have a 2-week grace period, no pun intended here, if you go to Pilates et Plus, and you can log in there and try a number of classes, présentés en français ou en anglais. So you have your choice, one or the other. So whatever soothes your spirit will get you through. And I did a 30-minute class with Danielle this morning, and it was bringing me back to when I was actually attending in person. So, and he's very good. Very
when are they opening Pilates and
that is a good question. I don't know.
Massage parlors are supposed to be opening too, I believe.
Don't know when that's going to happen. I know they put a lot of effort into getting this back up online, and they've had a pretty good response so far as I know. But look in on them, and if you find it to your liking, then sign up, because it'll probably see you through the summer and into the fall. And I hope that they can get things back together.
Well, Betsy is just hooked on Pilates. She says it's never made her feel better everywhere. Nothing has ever done.
I found this photograph of our guest to appear. This is such a great shot, and I wanted to talk to him about this. I think
was he hosting a game show or getting married?
I think he was. Terry is with spouse these days. I did not. Yeah. I hadn't been following his personal life, but
he's been married for a couple of years. I believe.
Yes, he has a spouse, and very, very happy. And I believe this was taken when he was celebrating Valentine's Day with his spouse. And this to me wraps up Terry. And I wanted to get his reaction on this photograph, so we'll see if he's able to join.
It's a great face, isn't it?
Yeah. I'll bring it back. I'll bring it back once he joins us. So there you are. How are you doing this morning? Did you sleep? Did you find it difficult to sleep?
I did. Night? I slept the sleep of the guiltless. I really slept well, but boy, I'll tell you.
There's Environment Canada. Yeah. And
there we are.
Canada. Yes. That's
Here's the weather forecast.
That's your screen.
27, Humidex 32.
Yeah.
That was his 9 o'clock, so it's probably 10 o'clock now, so it's probably shot up.
We got to track down Bob Harding.
Is Don McGowan still alive?
We're going to get Bob Harding just to come on and record one moment, please. And that'll be it. We're just going to say, thanks, Bob.
We are experienced. And you know what? You have to put a script in front of Bob. You really do. So you mentioned the Beverly Hillbillies.
They used to call me Mon Maudit Uno.
Oh, Bob's a cranky bastard.
Yes,
he's
fluently
got a kick out of you.
Yes,
got a kick out of me. Yeah, he's a St. Patrick's boy from Quebec City.
Yeah, I was watching this again last night while I was doing my yoga, because I do yoga after supper around 7 p.m. and I was watching the second episode.
You don't do anything after supper. You do yoga.
And Mr. Drysdale shows up, and Nancy Culp shows up for the first time, and I love Nancy Culp.
And she falls in love with Max Baer, right?
And she's so good, such a great actress, and
she was wonderful.
And Granny's putting logs in the oven, and they're chasing pink flamingos around the cement pond, thinking they're chickens, and I'm sitting there going, somebody
and the pot passers.
Yeah, and somebody sat around a writer's room one day and said, "Okay, so what does she do with the pool cue there, Myron?"
We can get away with.
Yeah. And
Mr. Drysdale with that horrific. What's that?
I'm sorry, I was just finishing off, and was it Jethro finds a croquet ball and thinks it's an egg? It just doesn't. It doesn't end. It doesn't end. It goes on and on.
And Mr. Drysdale with that terrible toupee.
Yeah.
That awful toupee, and they take them out. He belongs to the Beverly Hills Shooting Club with other bankers,
right? Yes.
And they have a competition. And the actor I used to show on my Skype page, Charles Lane, plays another banker, Billy Hacker.
Oh yes.
But they take them all out to a shooting range, and Granny with a shotgun blows the daylights out of a clay pigeon. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a gun-loving kind of guy, but this was really pull. Yeah, this was just great. And the look on Charles Lane's face when Milburn wins the contest. Anyway, it was number 1 2 years in a row. Yeah. 62, 63, 63, 60. Can you imagine? This show was the number 1 program.
Insane.
And in those days, it had a 36 rating, which meant 36 million televisions on were watching that.
But the response I got on my Facebook page, because I posted a still from the pilot where it was called "The Hillbillies of Beverly Hills." Was it? Yes.
Yeah, or of Hollywood. Yeah,
Yeah, or something like that. The Hillbillies of
yeah.
Beverly
They
Hills.
changed the name.
And then
Yeah,
somebody astutely,
the pilot was called. Yeah.
that's right. And somebody astutely remarked, yeah, it took them all that time to figure out, wait a minute, there's a play on words here. Beverly Hills. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Myron?
Yeah.
Myron? No.
Yeah. Hand me that pot passer. I have to write something. And
Okay.
in those days, early 60s, it was Western after Western after Western. This one was a little bit different. That's Jack Kelly playing Jim Garner's brother in Maverick. ABC actually got ratings with that. They were dying to get out of the usual Western stuff. But this show was number one for 20 straight years. Gunsmoke was in the top 5 for 24 years.
Wow.
And there was one year, and I can't remember which one it is, where the top 10 programs, notice a very young Burt Reynolds.
Right. Of course.
And there was a year when I think it was the top 10 or top 15 programs, all of them, Westerns.
Amazing. We're going to be speaking with Stéphane Garneau in a few days, who was an author and a journalist and a nice Quebecois kid who grew up watching American TV.
Yeah, I hadn't realized how big a TV nut Stéphane was.
Okay. So we're going to find out. And I just heard from Terry. He's standing by, but something happened here in terms of getting him on the online here. So I'm just going to send him.
Okay. Do you want me to mention other Westerns?
Terry DiMonte. Sure. Why don't you keep talking about Westerns while I email Terry DiMonte here to see to get him on.
The Rebel with, oh golly, I can't think of his name. There was oh gosh, now of course my memory has gone right down.
The Rebel, that's before my time.
Yeah, that was about 58. You would have been 2 years old.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. No, I'll wait for Terry. Put up the picture of him getting married again.
Let me just see here. I just sent him an email.
I guess, what would you do if you were a morning guy and you had the week off?
You'd be sleeping. You wouldn't be sitting there waiting for a couple of dorks like you and me saying, "Hey, Terry, you want to come on and talk to what's on our blog?"
Well, I'll tell you the truth. I'm not going to be working in the garden this morning.
Although
damn hot.
A lot of response following our chat with Mr. O'Keefe.
Oh yes,
a lot of folks have been watching that. He's got a lot of. He has a lot of fans out there, and he was very gracious about his experience with you and me too. So I'm pleased that some of the people who have enjoyed reading his material, and people, I guess, from his family and his friends, have been watching this. And
well, it went really well. David, of course, was talking about July of '44 after D-Day. Of course, was coming up. The 76th anniversary of D-Day is coming up. June 6th, 1944, when British, American, Canadian, and Free French troops came ashore on Normandy beaches. The Canadians had Juno. It was after that things got a little bit ugly for the Canadians. As a matter of fact, another little-known story, a rather gruesome one, was either the 7th or the 8th, a bunch of SS soldiers captured some Canadians in a farm just off the beaches, lined them up against a wall, and just shot them all. So it was a pretty ugly. It was not a dance to Paris.
It's
in August.
And I did a bit more research after we spoke with him, just in a cursory fashion there, and it's my goodness, man, I've got a lot of blank spots in my history studies, I must say. and I am
Well,
ashamed.
and David has a wonderful, he must have talked to these guys for hours and hours and hours, along with doing research, because the personal stories are the things that really come out, the personal discomfort, which is, I'm sorry, not even beginning to be a good enough word to describe what these guys went through. And if you think about it, I'm not going to use any examples. I don't need to. What these guys went through was just no one. I'm amazed he got them to talk. My dad never ever talked about
Yeah,
the
you
war.
mentioned that.
Wouldn't, he was in the Navy.
Yes.
Yeah, and he said all I was bored, which is complete and utter bullshit. He was on a Corvette, and getting out from either Quebec City or Sept-Îles or Halifax was the most dangerous part of it, because the U-boats could pick you off in no time flat in Cabot Strait or the Gulf of St. Lawrence. It was pretty, and they didn't have radar that was usable or in any way subtle until 1940, late 1943. And the Germans would just hunt in packs, and they went for the cargo ships, but corvettes got hit too.
Okay, we're not having any luck here with Terry. He's not receiving my email for some reason, so perhaps I'll try one last time.
Oh, that's too bad.
We will maybe try to regroup.
Okay, do you want to try him later?
He's there. He's simply not receiving the link, so it's going to take. Maybe we can just stop, and then we can just butt cut the rest of the interview. So let's just try doing that.
Okay. Do you want to? I'll wait here.
Yeah, just a second. Okay, a little bit of butt cutting there, as they call it in the. That sounds a little rude, but that's what they call it.
Is that a butcher's term? That's a butcher's term, isn't it?
A butt cut in the television business is when you.
Mrs. Fielding, I'll do a butt cut, and then we'll be able to send you
together.
home in a cab.
It's like when you see somebody and all of a sudden they do this. That's a butt cut. All right, let's bring Terry in here, because I don't know. I guess my emails were being rejected by his Hotmail address. And so he should be coming.
Oh, so you're on an ignore list.
Probably, yes.
Yeah. Now I'm surprised. Those are the ones from the Royal Bank of Kenya as well.
And I think there he is. Oh my God!
He looks thrilled to be here.
He looks really, really pleased.
Yeah. Were you asleep, darling? Were you having a little snooze?
We're just connecting just a sec, Terry.
The audio.
Oh, there he is.
There he is.
Yeah, he looks really happy.
Your face was
He's on vacation. Gorgeous. He's trying to sleep in, and I'm sending him emails. He said, "What the fuck is this guy doing here?
I want to go back to bed."
Hi, fellas.
How are you?
I'm fine. I'm having my first cup of tea, so
I didn't realize, my friend, that you're on vacation. I'm so sorry, because you mentioned that you were sleeping in, and I listened this morning, and there's no Terry.
No.
And there's our buddy Peter's on. I said, my God, where's, oh, he's sleeping. He's sleeping. You're so nice to join us, Terry. Thank you so much.
Well, as I get older, I don't sleep till 11 or noon anymore. So as you guys both know, getting up at 3 o'clock, if you're sleeping in till 8:39, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me about your sleep patterns over the year. I'm sorry. It's just, it's a morning guys thing.
This is the only thing you ever talk about.
Well,
yeah,
it's a tough one. Getting into bed and getting 6 straight hours is very difficult to do.
I get it. And in all seriousness, Dave, I think it's affected my health over the years. I really have not had a solid night's sleep in 35 years, especially as we get older. I sleep in fits and starts, up twice or 3 times a night, whether it's to pee or you're worried about the clock, right? You go to bed thinking, shit, I don't want to be late. I don't want to miss the alarm. And, sometimes you wake up 20 minutes before the alarm and you think, oh, well, what's the point now? I may as well get up. And you'll understand this, Dave, the bees buzzing around your head and your face is all warm at around 11:30 noon. And people say to me, how come you don't golf? You got the whole day to yourself. Hey, well, yeah. I don't exactly have a whole day to myself. I find it very difficult because as a Montrealer, you try and live a normal life. as a Montrealer. So if you're going to dinner on a Friday night with friends, it's usually dinner at 7:30 or 8, and you're in bed at, midnight or 12:30, and then you sleep in on Saturday, you sleep in on Sunday. So Monday, you're a bag of toys. Tuesday, you're a bag of toys. Wednesday, not so much. Thursday, a little better. And by Friday, I don't need a nap. But this whole idea of you got the whole day to yourself, it never worked for me. I never understood guys who headed to the golf course at 11:30 and could go through the whole day. I can't do it. It's such a great job. You don't want to sound like you're complaining, but if
it is. It's a wonderful job.
Yeah, it's great. But if like I've spoken in front of kids many times over the years, and there's always that question of what's the best thing about your job and the worst thing about your job. And I said, well, the worst thing is the alarm clock. It really is, because it's the middle of the night. It's not morning.
Right. By noon, what I found is that everything's in black and white starting around 11:30 and noon. Everything goes into a Beverly Hillbillies grayish kind of a screen.
Yeah. And it's that kind of, when people talk to you, you're like, I'm sorry, what did you say? What was that? And, your face is warm and you think, I just want to put my head down for a minute.
Or for a while you're on a high, and you're always on a bit of a high after every show. Absolutely. I don't care how many years you've done it. And I've got home and my wife said, would you just slow down for a second, please?
Yeah,
I sound like an auctioneer.
I'd be thinking of food too. I'd be starving. I would be starving coming off a shift.
Well, this is the other, if there are upcoming morning men watching this, this is the other pitfall, was the years of, hey, let's go to Moe's and have a big breakfast with a double order of toast and go home and lie down on it.
Right.
Or let's go to Beauty's. We'll have the spinach and cheese omelet with 3 bagels and go home and lie down on it. And that cost me big time. When I moved out to Calgary, I went looking for a doctor, and I found a doctor quickly, and he said to me, how old are you again? I said, I'm 50. He said, you're going to be dead in a couple of years if you don't do something about your weight.
Ooh, that's pretty sobering.
Yeah, it was very, very sobering, and it was part of the good news about pushing the reset button and moving out to Calgary. I managed to lose a lot of weight while I was out there.
I was at the
restaurants aren't as good.
Yeah. Well, I was the ectomorph. I was the one who I would take in an apple, yogurt, and then they'd be put down on the desk and left there, never touched, but I'd drink 5 cups of coffee, and really bad, I took up smoking again. I did it for about 10 years again before I gave it up.
Wow. That was I was lucky. That was the one bad habit I never picked up, but I can relate. I'm banana grapefruit man, and then the guys with the local pizza parlor would arrive with 11 pies, and say, we just wanted to bring in some of our wares. And, for years prior to the internet, that was a big deal. There was food in the studio 2-3 days a week. And from getting up, Dave, people say, well, why don't you make a nice breakfast? Because it's 3 o'clock in the fucking morning. That's why. Not cooking up a storm at 3 o'clock.
Yeah, all of a sudden you become James Beard, right?
Yeah, by 7 o'clock you're starving, right?
Yeah.
You've been up for 4 hours.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And on a coffee high.
And then there's putting up with the Bay City Rollers and everybody else who shows up too with all of the donuts and the okay. Well,
my favorite was Yuppie.
Oh,
Yuppie would turn up with food through this.
Yeah. And that costume smelled like the underneath of a car too. Did you ever get close to that costume? Oh boy. Okay.
Oh yeah, and you end up with the unilingual francophone Santa Claus, and
I did that too.
8:30, and you go, fuck off, Santa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Listen, again, just to put a fine point on it, been doing it a very long time. It's all I ever wanted to do. It's been very good to me.
Okay, that answers my next question.
I love it.
Okay.
And so,
Yeah.
No, exactly. Because I, to get myself, especially on Monday, to get myself going, I would say, okay, it's January, but I'm not getting up and digging ditches. I'm doing something I really, really love.
absolutely.
The only problem is, as somebody said, getting up at 5 is getting up early. Getting up at 4 is getting up the night before. You kind of feel hungover without any of the fun.
Terry, I found this photograph. I got to show it to you. Show it to you. It's from your Facebook page.
Okay.
This shot here.
Yes, sir.
That's a great
picture.
To me, that encompasses the Terry DiMonte that I've come to know, because there's the tuxedo and there's the bow tie and the pressed shirt, the wan smile, the serious glasses, but somewhere in there's a 7-year-old, right? And that's what I like. It's kind of the package that says, I really like what I'm doing, and it's been fun, and it continues to be fun, and I hope that's the case for you, Terry.
It is. That's it's rare that you see me dressed up, because that's the other great thing about radios. You can pretty much show up however dressed however you like.
I remember seeing you at CJAD, and this is another thing too. I noticed these little things walking around on your stocking feet, because you used to do your show in your socks,
Still
right?
do.
And still do. That's a little something that I noticed, and it comes into the idiom of the person you're listening to. It sort of affects the way you express yourself, and there's an easygoingness about it too. And I always thought that was really neat.
Thank you.
Where's that picture from, Terry? Was that wedding or an anniversary or what?
No, that was taken at the West Island Palliative Care ball. Teresa Deller, God rest her soul, she bugged me for years and years and years. And I'm not, anybody who knows me will know this. I'm not a ball guy. I'm not the formality and all of that. I supported the West Island Palliative Care project from the day the shovel went in the ground with all my heart and all my voice. But I said to TC, the thing anyway. Long story short, once I got together with Jessica, it had a lot more. It was just something that I thought, well, this will be nice for the two of us to get dressed up, and TC was beyond thrilled that I decided to go. So that, I think, is from either last year or the year before. Jess, my wife, said, let me take a picture of you in this tuxedo. She was
I think it's this is worthy of being framed in black and white in your dining room.
Thanks.
I think that's where Ernie Butler spent his final days too, out in the West Island.
A lot of my good friend Mark Kelly from the Fifth Estate, both his parents left the planet there.
Oh, I didn't know that. Jeff. So that's Jeff Kelly's mom and dad too, then, right?
Yeah, and quite a story, Dave. Both the Kellys, all of the Kelly family, were massive supporters. I don't know if you remember the story, but okay. Do you need me to move? Okay. My wife is online.
Say hi to Jessica.
We want to talk about her too, so ask her to be nice.
So because we're in a 2-bedroom condo, wave, sweetheart.
Morning, Jessica.
You're there. So I'm going to move down the hallway so that she can have her meeting a week.
No.
And I would go out.
Getting a tour of the house.
It's okay.
You are. Let me.
I'm putting Post-its on all the paintings, Terry.
Okay, good. That was George Balkan, who. Let me see if it's. Griffintown is very, very noisy.
That's right. You're in Griffintown.
Yeah, it's a horrible place to live.
I used to live
a little bit noisy.
I used to live there too. Okay.
Well, my daughter-in-law, my daughter and my son-in-law live right near there.
Next to a construction site. Well, that should be interesting.
Okay, you know what? You can hear the chaos, can't you?
Not so much. We don't want to keep it too long here, Terry. But no.
I'm fine. I'm on holidays. I got nothing to do.
Okay.
It's either this.
You mentioned your spouse, Jessica. You've been spoused for how long now?
We got married on March 12th. We were the last wedding before the country shut down, I think.
Oh, so it's that recent.
Oh,
Oh,
it's that recent. I thought
congratulations.
it's
I
been a
did
couple
not
of
know
years.
because
Yeah,
I was looking at your
thank
Facebook
you.
page and I said, wait a minute, there's a face I haven't seen before. And my
Hey,
goodness,
I'm gonna,
this is going to
I'm
be a
gonna, I'm
corny
gonna move
question.
again, guys, because I'm gonna move
There
again,
we go.
guys, because I'm
Yeah.
having trouble hearing
Somebody's
it
going to
because
call the police.
Okay.
of the Griffintown worst planned neighborhood ever. I'm glad we were in.
Nope. Kidding. Just throw them up, Brian.
Been there.
12, 16
Well,
stories.
you know what they did, Dave, is every single square inch of earth has been put aside for condos, and they've turned the whole area over to developers. So it won't be long before it looks like Brooklyn.
It's been
Okay.
quite crazy. Okay,
So tell us about the love of your life.
About
I
Jessica.
see pictures of it, and it's in your face how happy you look these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jess and I, hang on, now I'm trying to get comfortable. Hang on a sec. Jess and I met through work. It was a work romance. And we have quite an age difference. She's much younger than I am. And she was on a lot of promotional things, and we seemed to get along like a house on fire. And one day she said to me, would you have a drink with me? I've got some things I'd like to ask you. And I, to be honest with you, thought she wanted career advice. And we went to Ziggy's, and after a lot of humming and hawing, she said, I'm just going to throw this out there. She said, I want you to know that you do with this what you want. I've been attracted to you for quite some time. And you could have bowled me over with a feather. And because to be honest with you, secretly, I thought she was lovely and I was attracted to her. I was afraid of the age difference. And in this day and age, you wouldn't even begin to think of, saying something at work because, the things have changed so much in corporations. I won't even compliment anybody anymore. I used to, in the summertime, for example, say to somebody in the office, morning, Carol, that's a beautiful summer dress you're wearing. And I won't even do that anymore. I just, morning.
It's a really fraught atmosphere.
It is. And so it kind of went from there, and we began to date, and then, it kind of rolled along, and we just, I don't know. It was heaven sent. We get along like a house on fire. We're together 24/7, and I asked her to marry me last year, and she said yes. We had a very romantic weekend in New York City, and she said yes. And then we were married in British Columbia on March the 12th. And we left for BC on March 8th. And the whole time was fraught with angst and Lysol wipes. But the actual...
Don't get too detailed here, Terry.
The actual day itself was beautiful. We were married in a small town in the Fraser Valley called Agassiz at a fishing lodge. And it was terrific. The day was beautiful. We had a very, very small wedding with just family and a couple of friends. And we were supposed to leave for California the following Saturday, and all of that got canceled. And, we just, after a couple of days of angst and worry, we beat it home. So, and literally at the lodge, and we had our celebration at a restaurant called Highs in Vancouver. And I had been in touch with both.
Great restaurant.
Yeah, great restaurant. We had the upstairs floor. It was really, really beautiful.
Super.
And we talked to both the general managers of both properties, and they both said we were the last party in British Columbia.
Wow.
Before they shut down. So
you guys won a lottery ticket. You won a lottery ticket.
Yeah, we were very, very lucky, Dave, and Jess and I talk about that. Although Jess does say, she feels a little bit cheated in terms of celebration, because we were married, and then the next day we got up and went, okay, what do we cancel, and what about our flights? And so there was really no time to wallow in it. And I said, you know what, when things go back to normal, we'll pick a spot and we'll go wallow in it.
Wow. Anyway, from a distance, Terry, it shows in your face. I can almost feel it in the photographs I'm looking at here. And
thank you. Well, I was alone.
Best
for
wishes
a very
to both
long
of you.
time. Thank you very much.
That's a terrific. Listen, we're gonna let you wrap it up with that, and enjoy the rest of your vacation. You've been immense to talk to us, buddy. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure to see you guys, and it's a pleasure to talk with.
That's great. Well, last time I saw you, Terry, we were ordering at the Snowden Deli.
Yes. Yeah.
Finished our shift.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was going to say, it's nice to talk to guys who know what you're talking about, and again, despite all the complaining, I do feel like the luckiest man on the planet. After all of this time, I still love it. I just wish it wasn't 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah, but we can hear it, and you're one of the best in the business, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys.
Enjoy your time.
Good to see you, Terry. Good to see you happy too, pal.
Thank you very much. Thanks, guys. See you later.
Bye. Wow.
He does look happy. He does
look happy, and he came out of his shell there, did Terry. I thought maybe he'd be a little groggy, but he was up to telling stories.
Well, he probably got some sleep.
Yeah. So,
because you have told me, and I just
now
my
I know
mind
how long
boggles.
did you do the morning show?
I did the weekday morning show for 12 years.
Okay, 12 years. That's a long haul, because I've done morning on more than one station, but never for more than about a year, maybe 18 months. So 12 years.
But you were so hell bent.
I'm 30 years.
Well,
oh boy.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and you were hell bent on real preparation. You got up at 2 some mornings.
Oh yeah,
right?
I was up at 2:30, but I was in bed at 6. But I didn't have a family. You have kids. You had all sorts of other responsibilities, and
thank God the kids were a little more grown up. When I was doing Home Run with you, that's when the kids were young. That was fine.
Yeah, but Terry has had a peripatetic career too. He's been all over the place, and he's talked about. They've written articles about. He was featured in a piece about, and he talks about rather candidly about his weight, and all of this, and all these the difficulties he had controlling that, and that plays into, as he described too, in that whole the schedule that you're working in. It throws your
develop a lot of bad habits.
Yeah, so. But no. Terry is, and I'm going to circle back here to the stalking feet thing, which sounds like a little thing, but that's Terry all wrapped up there. So the guy you're listening to in the morning, that's the guy you just saw.
Yeah,
really likes.
Yeah, very friendly,
when that
lovable mensch who likes to laugh.
That's Terry right there. So anyway,
and it's interesting you mentioned. I didn't quite go to the stocking feet, but I always loosened my shoes.
Oh, I was afraid you were going to say
everything
something
seemed
else there. Okay, I thought.
But you mentioned, because you listen to him every morning. You listen to all the morning radio, but you listen to Arcan every morning, and he does what, 5:30 to 10 or 5?
He does 5:30 to 10.
And you have said in the last hour, where they kind of loosen up a bit.
Yeah.
He can sound a little bit less focused.
He is someone that I would really like to interview too someday. Maybe I can do it en français sometime if he agrees to it, because
I've listened to him. He doesn't take any shit from the people he interviews, right? The guy says, "I'm not going to answer that question," and Paul says, "Oh yes, you are."
He is the most listened to morning man in Canada per capita.
Canada,
in the country. Yeah, he's got numbers, and he's
great interviewer.
Anyway, we could go on and on about this. We'll be talking to other folks from the business in the coming days. Tomorrow, one of your favorite guys, Andrew Cadell, is going to be on with us tomorrow. Andrew,
he did a book about
hockey,
park hockey, and stuff like that in Montreal.
He wrote a book with Dave Stubbs.
Well,
called
there's
The
somebody else we
Goal.
could talk to. Okay.
Yes, yes, and I know he's going to want to
All
talk about
righty.
hockey. I don't want to talk about hockey, but Cadell's going to want to talk about hockey. But I want to talk to him. He's worked for the WHO. He's done so many things. He
Yes.
worked for CKO back in the day. He's been around. Talk about somebody who gets out and gets shit done. And I haven't seen him.
Well, Andrew was in our
25 years.
newsroom, our radio newsroom in Montreal for a number of years as well.
So that should be entertaining. And then Friday,
So-
it's going to be just you and me on the 29th. We'll talk about.
Okay, I gotta come up with something.
You better come up with something.
I'll come up with a list of all the westerns that were played in the 1950s.
In alphabetical order or something like that.
Good day
Good.
and good luck.
Good luck.